So not so long ago, I was filming this enormous, incredible home, 22 bedrooms, $4.5 million price, and it was taking a long time. I kept finding different bedrooms and rooms that we'd missed filming. And after finding out that this home was originally built for someone to retire in, I made the comment, just jokingly, I thought, why would someone need a home with 22 bedrooms, 19 bathrooms to retire in? What possible reason could there be for that much space? I mean, do you want to invite relatives over? Do you want to have enormous parties? What reason? But then I thought about it some more and I realized and I remembered, you know, all things are relative. And to the average person in the Western world, this home, it may seem excessive, but to billions of people on our planet, the home of an average person in the Western world, your home, my home, everyone's home in the Western world, it would seem equally excessive. To someone who's grown up in the slums, living under a cobbled together structure with a rusty piece of tin for a roof, a simple one-bedroom apartment would seem like a palace. And all the little everyday necessities that we so easily take for granted would seem equally luxurious, like electricity. 940 million people on our planet do not even have electricity still. And here in Costa Rica, I get reminded of how easy it is to take things like that for granted because the power goes out all the time. Same thing with water. At least once a week here in Costa Rica, the water will stop working. And usually it's just for a few hours, but when it does, I realize how incredibly lucky I am to have clean water on demand in my house that I can drink, clean my hands with, shower. So this is how our minds work. Your mind, my mind, we all perceive things relative to other nearby things. And it's the same with challenges in life. And that's what I want to talk to you about in today's episode. Putting your challenges, putting your problems in perspective. So right now, the world is very focused on this big problem of COVID-19. It's affected just about every single one of us. Being in the hotel business, I've definitely felt the effects. People are out of work, so if you've lost your job or you've got family who have, I mean, it's definitely affecting a lot of people, and people are stuck at home. We're not able to travel as freely as we used to. I know I used to take that for granted all the time. So we're all very focused on these problems. And one of the most important things to do is to put it all in perspective. As bad as it is, it could be worse. We could be living through another Great Depression. There could be a world war. In our personal life, someone close to us could pass away. So these days, whenever I find myself complaining about problems, I stop and remind myself that I don't have problems. I've got just minor challenges. Because in comparison to real problems, I know they're minor. And I started thinking more this way in 2018. I had a life-changing problem. And one of the most useful things I did to get through it was to force myself to put it in perspective and remind myself, as terrible as everything seemed, it could be worse. And at first, I couldn't think of anything worse, but when I was going through it, I would force myself to go and find people who had been through even worse ordeals, even worse problems, far worse than mine. And I would remind myself to be grateful for the things that I still had. So I had my health, I've got both arms, both legs, my mind is clear, and anything material lost, which was a lot, it could be recovered with time. I'll give you an example. I remember reading about the story of Turia Pitt. She was running this marathon race and there was a bushfire going on nearby. And she got really unlucky. She ended up going through part of the track that she got caught in this fire and she suffered burns all over her body. She was basically had fire all around her. And so when they found her, they had to rush her to hospital, of course. And she ended up spending close to 2 years in hospital. She had scarring all over her body, all over her face, but it took 2 years to recover. And I remember reading about that story and thinking to myself, I'm going through some really bad challenges, but Imagine that. Imagine having something like that happen to you and being in hospital for 2 years and for the rest of your life having that. And then I remember reading about how she went on, she didn't let that stop her, and now she's going around the world, she's getting invited to come speak on stages, inspiring people. So that story was pretty inspirational to me, and I thought, as bad as I've got it right now, it could be worse. It could be worse. And so I would keep on finding stories like that. I would find people who had been through these really difficult times, but they'd got through, and I would use that as inspiration, and I would use that to put my problems in perspective. So it's important that you do this when you're going through your challenges, when you're going through your problems, because all of us, we have a tendency to compare ourselves and our situations with those nearby us. But often that's a very limited part of the population. So if you live in Beverly Hills or someplace like that, and you're not happy with the size of your house relative to your neighbors, well, of course you're going to be unhappy. But instead, you should seek a much wider perspective. Judge where you are relative to people who don't even have a home, and then you won't feel so bad. So the next time that you're going through some really difficult challenges, always put things in perspective with a broader audience worldwide, and remind yourself of the good things you still have in your life. That's what I do. It's helped me get through a lot of challenges in these last few years. So I hope that helps you in some way. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.